You know that punch in the brain kind of moment when a twist flips everything upside down? This is one of those. Not a fan-made theory stretch or some Reddit rabbit hole. This one's been sitting in plain sight for over a decade, right under everyone's nose. So here it goes. Tony Stark was never really Tony Stark. That man, he was Victor Von Doom all along. And once all the pieces click into place, it's impossible to unsee. Start with that endgame scene. Tony goes back to 1970, runs into his dad, and Howard casually drops a bomb. Maria's pregnant. On the surface, it seems like a sweet moment. Tony looks emotional. But that wasn't a "my dad's being sentimental" look. That was confusion. Deep, silent, terrified confusion. Because the math didn't add up. Based on the year and his age, Tony should have already been born. But he wasn't. Something was off. Something massive. And go back to Iron Man 2. Howard's recorded message. "My greatest creation is you." Sounds loving. But look closer at the word. Creation. Not greatest achievement, not biggest gift. Creation. That's a word reserved for something made, designed, engineered. What if Howard meant that literally? The evidence doesn't just live in emotional scenes or poetic lines. It's rooted in decades of subtle Marvel choices, casting callbacks, meta-connections, and plot anomalies that now feel like deliberate puzzle pieces. In 2005, years before the MCU was even born, Robert Downey Jr. auditioned for the role of Victor Von Doom in Fantastic Four. Didn't get it. But here's the twist of fate. Nearly 2 decades later, Marvel is giving him that role after all. Not a fan-casting stunt. This was always the plan. Marvel's been seeding this possibility since the beginning. The Russo brothers weren't even planning to return for Secret Wars. They were done. Until they heard an idea involving RDJ that was so huge, they stopped everything and called Feige. An idea that removed Kang from the center of the story and replaced him with Doom. Not a new Doom. The Doom everyone already knew. The one fans had already spent 20 movies loving. The pitch wasn't just bold, it was mythic. A twist that redefined not only the MCU's past, but its entire emotional weight. It gave the Russo brothers the impossible, a return with purpose. They weren't coming back to direct another fight scene, or throw in more cameos. They were coming back to deliver a cinematic reveal that would leave audiences frozen in their seats. This idea gave them stakes, legacy, and impact. Because when the curtain lifts and it's Doom behind the Iron Man mask, that changes every single rewatch. Every smirk Tony gave. Every time he went off script. It all becomes layered with new meaning. And suddenly, Robert Downey Jr. isn't just reprising his role, he's elevating it. Turning nostalgia into narrative fuel. No new villain could ever compete with that. Because this isn't about introducing Doom. It's about realizing he was never missing. He was leading the Avengers the entire time. The Russo brothers saw the emotional devastation that reveal would cause. The kind that ignites theaters, spawns 1,000 theories, and keeps people talking for years. That's not a return. That's a legacy move. This is where things start to really shift. Doom, the iconic villain, isn't just some mustache-twirling tyrant. He's layered, he's brilliant, he's dangerous, and he has a reason, an actual reason to hate Kang more than anyone else in the multiverse. Because once upon a time, before Kang won the multiversal war, Doom ruled a timeline. That was his world. He was king. And when Kang ended the war, he destroyed Doom's timeline, erased it, buried it, silenced it forever. But Kang didn't stop there. He didn't just wipe Doom off the board. He repurposed him. Doom, one of the most dangerous minds in the multiverse, was plucked from his dying timeline and inserted into the sacred timeline as a child. Rewritten, erased, given a new name, a new identity, and new parents, Howard and Maria Stark. From that moment on, Victor Von Doom believed he was Tony Stark. That's why the endgame moment stings. That's why "My greatest creation is you" hits different now. Because Tony Stark wasn't born. He was made. He was Doom, rewritten by Kang into the perfect weapon of control. And that's the ultimate move by Kang. He didn't just defeat Doom. He turned Doom into a tool for protecting the very system that stole his life. It's poetic. It's cruel. It's genius. This explains how Tony pulled off the impossible, inventing time travel in a single night, while Bruce Banner, one of the smartest minds in the MCU, couldn't even figure out the basics. That wasn't just Stark tech at play. That was Doom's mind underneath. Because in the comics, time travel is Doom's specialty. He didn't have to learn it. He already knew it. It wasn't trial and error. It was memory. Subconscious muscle reflex. The way Tony casually mocks the idea of time travel being impossible, that wasn't confidence. That was familiarity. This wasn't some stroke of luck or last-minute genius spark. It was centuries of multiversal knowledge disguised as intuition. Doom had built time platforms, battled chronal threats, and even outwitted Kang across dimensions in his original life. And that expertise didn't disappear. It was buried, compressed, waiting for the right moment to bleed through. That's why Tony didn't hesitate when asked to solve the time heist. He didn't just solve it, he optimized it. And that's something only Doom could do. Even the way he presented the solution, with a sleek, no-nonsense hologram, felt too perfect, too complete. That wasn't invention, that was recollection wrapped in stark charm. Now rethink every single scene where Tony is casually solving cosmic-level problems, finding loopholes in reality, or calculating paradoxes on the fly. That wasn't just charm and confidence. That was instinct. That was Victor Von Doom's brain slipping through the cracks of his new identity. Think about the start of the MCU. Marvel didn't have the rights to X-Men, Spider-Man, or the Fantastic Four back then. That's the official story. But within the narrative, it fits Kang's sacred timeline too perfectly. He erased the X-Men, delayed Spider-Man's arrival, removed the Fantastic Four entirely. And Doom? He wasn't eliminated. He was disguised, hidden in plain sight. Tony Stark wasn't the beginning of the MCU. Doom was. That changes everything. Every sacrifice Tony made, every moment of growth, still real, still raw. But now it all belongs to a man who was never supposed to be a hero. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Doom didn't fake it. He believed it. He lived as a hero. And when he eventually remembers who he is, that history, that identity, makes him even more dangerous. Because those memories aren't illusions. They're lived experience. Doom held Peter Parker in his arms as he died. He built Ultron and then fought to undo that mistake. He laid down his life for the universe while whispering about his daughter. Those aren't just Stark moments, they're Doom's. That emotional core is real, and it reshaped him. It tempered his ego, gave him empathy, and, for the first time in any timeline, showed him what it meant to be part of something bigger. So when Doom rises again, he's not just a tyrant with tech. He's a villain who understands sacrifice, loss, and love. That's terrifying. Because now he knows exactly how to break heroes. Not by overpowering them, but by showing them he's walked in their shoes. And when he turns, he does it with full awareness of everything that made Tony Stark great, and how to weaponize it. Because this version of Doom doesn't just have power and genius. He has perspective. He knows what it means to care. He's felt loss. He's earned trust. And when he flips, it's not from evil. It's from betrayal. It's from pain. Now imagine that reveal hitting in Secret Wars. The multiverse is in chaos. Universes collapsing. Variants everywhere. The Avengers rally behind Tony Stark. Still their leader, still their friend. And just when they need him most, he drops the truth. The sacred timeline was a lie. Their lives were engineered. Their choices weren't real. And the man they followed, never Tony Stark. Always Victor Von Doom. Silence. Some will refuse to believe it. Others will break. Because Doom doesn't just reveal the truth, he uses it. He weaponizes trust. He recruits the broken ones. Wanda, who lost children that were never meant to exist. Thor, who saw his people fall. Peter Parker, who was erased from existence. All of them, turned by truth, not manipulation. Doom doesn't conquer them. He frees them. That's how the evil Avengers are born. Not as mind-controlled pawns, but as believers. Because once you see the cracks in the sacred timeline, it's hard to pretend it's worth saving. And Doom doesn't stop at flipping heroes. He tears down the rules of the multiverse itself. Realities bleed together. Variants fight side by side. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, all pulled into the chaos. Doom becomes the architect of Marvel's biggest war, not to conquer, but to restore. And in doing so, he destroys the MCU we know. Because to build Marvel Prime, the restored universe, everything from the sacred timeline must go. That means every story, every character, every memory, gone. Steve Rogers fading mid-sentence. Wanda's children disappearing in her arms. Peter Parker standing on a crumbling rooftop, watching his world vanish. And at the center of it all, Doom, holding the final piece of the multiverse in his hand. He could insert himself into Marvel Prime, rewrite himself into glory, rule openly. But he doesn't, because he knows he doesn't belong. This version of Doom, shaped by Stark's choices, molded by sacrifice, knows that his presence would poison the new world. So he erases himself, willingly. The last shot of RDJ's Doom, watching from a white void as Marvel Prime takes shape, and in the crowd of heroes, a younger, untouched Tony Stark smiles. The real Tony. Doom smirks, then vanishes. It's the most poetic exit imaginable. The man who lived a stolen life chooses to end it on his terms, and in doing so, shapes the Marvel Universe more perfectly than anyone ever has. Now the world is restored. Mutants live openly. The Fantastic Four are legends. Spider-Man swings through New York with no strings attached. The Marvel Universe finally feels complete. And somewhere, one character remembers. Maybe Deadpool, maybe Wanda, maybe Loki. Someone knows that Doom was real, that this perfect world came at a cost. And that's the new thread, the myth of Doom. Not just a villain, not just a fallen hero, but the architect of a new era. And that's how Marvel pulls off the greatest twist in cinematic history, by turning the man fans loved for 20 years into the most complex, tragic, and powerful villain they've ever faced. Not through hate, but through memory, through truth, through sacrifice. This isn't just a character reveal, it's a redefinition. Tony Stark wasn't just a hero, he was Doom, and Doom was always destined to win. If that just detonated your brain, you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button and dive deeper into multiverse theories, insane character arcs, and everything Marvel doesn't want you to figure out early.